We are back with another ArtSnacks box. Yes, this is the October ArtSnacks unboxing slash creation process. So let's open up this and see what we have. As I have already kind of opened this, so yeah, I kind of know what's in it, but I haven't actually unwrapped everything to see the colours, so I kind of half cheated with this, but what are you gonna do? Let's open up this parcel first, because obviously we know what this is. There's our sticker that's just like come out of the folds of that tissue. Oh, it's nice and purple and spooky. There's ghosts on there, can you see? Oh, nice! Oh wow, look at that. Look at that chrome brush. Oh, that is nice. Let's get this out of the bag. Let's let this bad boy out. Right, so these are our supplies. Obviously these supplies are kind of relating to Inktober. That's the kind of thing that I think that most subscription art supplies would go for October, because it's a whole thing now, Inktober. Okay, so in here we have SNAIL Abstract Acrylic Ink. New product, $7.95 retail. Enjoy a fresh bottle of ink just in time for Inktober. Yes, so I was right, so it is Inktober themed, isn't it? Made in France, highly pigmented and versatile. Okay, works on most surfaces and can be used with a brush, dip, pen or dropper. I really like inks like this, and this is, what's the colour name? A Chinese blue. That one looks really nice. I really love ink bottles like this, I don't know why. There's something just so pleasing about an ink bottle. And it's got a little squeezy tip. We have some Copic Markers. I have never used these before and I've always wanted to, but they are so expensive to get hold of here, and yeah, I wouldn't really necessarily like have something in mind to do with these, so this is perfect for me. Like, thank you so much ArtSnacks, because I wouldn't have bought these otherwise. So these are classic markers. Yeah, so you guys probably have seen other art YouTubers use these before, so these are kind of self-explanatory, but I think this is going to be my favourite nib, because I like a good bullet nib. And then the other side is a chisel tip. Nice and chunky. We have, these don't have actual colours, do they? Oh, they do. We have mint green, which is BG13, and we also have smoky blue, B45. So we've obviously got a blue greeny theme, which I am really feeling like, yes. Royal and Langnickel Zen series watercolor brush. Okay, I thought that was going to explain the pencil, but this is the brush. This is $2.99 retail, so this is a size 4. Let's just get a little bit of a close-up on this chrome. There we go. Sorry, it's not really focusing because it's like so super shiny, but let's take this off. Oh, them some hard bristles. There's the little bristles for you. They're a little bit hard, but I imagine they'll soften up when some water is added. And then finally we have this, which is the General's Semi-Hex Drawing Graphite Pencil, number 497. Nice! Okay, so this is a 2H. I personally like a 3B or a 4B. So a 2H is a little bit more on the harder side for my liking, but you gotta work what you're given with, so. Okay, so obviously all of these supplies here are meant to be used for like doing Inktober, but I'm not gonna do that because I don't have 31 days spare. I'm just going to create something. I'm gonna do a few experimentations with these supplies. Nothing is immediately coming to mind of what I can create, which is not unusual for me, but we're going to have a little experiment and see what we can come up with. I'm really excited to use this and like use the dropper and use the brush and try and just create some like different dispersion technique type things, you know. Let's just have a look at the dropper. Ooh, look at that Chinese blue. It's like a bluey green, almost like the mint green, but a bit deeper, kind of like a phthalo blue almost. That's nice. I like that. So yeah, let's experiment and see what we can come up with. So the very first thing that I did was, of course, applied that beautiful ghosty sticker to my bullet journal, and then it was time to do a little bit of preliminary work in my sketchbook. So I just wanted to try out all of the supplies. I just wanted to see exactly how they worked. Seeing as I hadn't worked with the Copics before, I wanted to see what all the fuss was about, and yeah, I can totally see why everybody favours these, because when you layer these down, they kind of appear a little bit streaky, and then that kind of evens itself out and you're left with this kind of really smooth colour, and I really liked that, because most other markers that I've worked with don't tend to do that. They tend to be quite streaky, so I really enjoyed that. I also just tested out to see whether these were waterproof, because as I said, I haven't worked with these before. I just wanted to know that if the colour was going to run or not, if I was going to apply water over the top with this beautiful ink by SNAIL. And the very first thing I tried, which is one thing that I was really excited to do, was just put down a little puddle of water, drop some of the ink down, and then just see how it dispersed, because I really love those kinds of effects. I love the kind of free flowing nature of stuff like that, and that's something that I really kind of wanted to incorporate and work with in my final piece. So I didn't really have any kind of idea what I was going to go with, but I knew that that was what I wanted to do. So when it came to the actual piece, I kind of took a little bit of inspiration here from Sarah from the Art Hive. If you guys haven't checked out her channel, go ahead and check that out, because she's doing Inktober at the moment, and she is using a limited palette of blues, which is where I kind of got the original inspiration from here. She is doing an amazing job with that, and that was what kind of inspired me to do this. So of course I had all of these blue tones, and the Chinese blue of the SNAIL ink was really reminded me of a peacock, and I have a challenge over in my Facebook group at the moment with a peacock reference photo which I have taken myself, and I thought, I never normally take part in my own challenges, so why don't I use my own reference photo? So that's what I did, and I used that General's semi-hex drawing graphite pencil in 2H, I'm reading from the sheet here, to add my outline, and this was a really nice pencil to use. It erased really well, it was really good for sketching, and it wasn't as hard as I initially thought that it was going to be, because usually when I've worked with 2H pencils in comparison to like the softer Bs, the H's tend to be like really hard and kind of scratchy on the paper, but that wasn't really the case with this one, and I kind of really enjoyed it. I'm going to use some more of this pencil when I do my outline sketching for my colour pencil pieces, I think. The paper I'm using here is my Fabriano Artistico hot press watercolour paper. I always use this paper for coloured pencil and pretty much all of my projects, and as I know it can kind of handle water and high quantities of water as well, so that's what I went with here. Just taped it down with some Scotch Magic tape, and then I decided to use my palette and fill some of the wells with the concentrated mix of the ink straight from the bottle, and then I kind of diluted it. I had two different diluted solutions, a kind of mid-tone where I just added a little bit of the ink, and then a really diluted one where I just kind of used the residual ink off of the brush and just added it to a large puddle of water on the palette there. So I started off this just by adding in some of the darker areas. Wasn't really sure what I was doing here. I was just kind of adding the light wash down. Originally I was going to work in light washed layers, and then I realised just how impatient I am when it comes to watercolour and all of that kind of stuff, and waiting for stuff to dry, and I was like, this isn't going to work, this is not going to be good. So I just went straight for my kind of intermediate mix and added that down into the darker areas of the peacock. So on my reference photo there was really dark areas like underneath the beak, around like the underneath of the neck, and a little bit on the top of the head where it kind of meets the beak as well. I just added a large puddle of mid-concentrated water, and then I went in with that dropper and dropped some ink down so I could get that really nice dispersion, and I was not let down by this. I am fascinated at how these pigments and colours travel through water, and I could have just watched this flow forever. It was a really nice thing to experience. It kind of didn't disperse as well as I thought it would or hoped that it would, but I really liked the kind of effect that it gave, and I actually did go in and add more ink and water and just kept building on that kind of dispersion effect, and I just kept building some of the darker tones as well, just using that kind of mid mixture and also the concentrated mixture of the ink as well. There were a few cases when I was painting this that the paint kind of bled into other areas, which is just down to my impatientness and wanting to just do all of the things at once without waiting for it to dry, and that's one of my greatest downfalls of this piece, I think, because I did kind of mess it up in a few places where I think that I should have just let it dry and then worked it, but what are you going to do when you're impatient and you want to just try all of the art supplies out, and yeah, then they end up bleeding together, so yeah, that wasn't good. I realised at this point as well that I was getting way too carried away with the ink itself, and I realised that I hadn't actually used the Copics, so I was like, where on earth can I add these, because I didn't really want to add it to like the feather, the plumage of the bird. And I was like, I need to darken the beak somehow, and I could just use light washes, but I thought, again, I'm impatient, so why don't I just go in there with the Copic Markers and add some colour to the beak, which I immediately regretted because I kind of liked the effect of the white, and I wish I would have gone in there with some light washes of that blue ink, but alas, I didn't do that, and I used the Copics because I needed to integrate them into the piece, and that's what I ended up with, a little bit of a hot mess on the beak. But I ended up going over with some of the ink in the brush anyway, and kind of made it a little bit better towards the end, you'll see. But yeah, I do regret adding that, and I kind of just wish that I would have maybe created two pieces where I just focused this piece on the actual bottled ink, and then maybe a second piece where I concentrated more on the Copics, but I didn't do that, and I'm not going to do that, so this is what I've ended up with. I've just kind of had to work with it, and you know, it's art, it's a process. These supplies are new to me, and I'm just experimenting here. As you guys know, I'm primarily a coloured pencil artist, so anything like this is really fascinating and just kind of gets me really creative. So yeah, that's that. I just continued with the piece, just continued darkening, adding some more of that kind of dispersion effect, and then I was like, I'm going to go old school here, like with my watercolours, and kind of like something that I always fall back on and that a lot of people hate, and that is the splattering technique. And then I thought, you know what, I can get my empty pen out and like blow the ink, so you've got these kind of lines coming through. Yeah, so that's the process and the thought behind this, and I apologise wholeheartedly for not using as much of the Copics as I probably should have. I know probably some of you guys are going to berate me on that, like, oh, you should have used the Copics in this way, but personally I don't really like using markers. I much prefer, if I'm going to use a different medium, to use a wet medium, like something that's similar to watercolour. So yeah, that's that. So now let's hop back to pre-voiceover Amie. Okay, so this is my finished piece. It is a really simple piece, as you can tell. I wasn't entirely sure what to do. I really liked using this abstract acrylic ink from SNAIL. This was really nice to use, and I really love the colour as well. And yeah, basically this is what I came up with. It's kind of expressive and kind of not. I might add a few more details to it. I might even go in with a white gel pen and just add a few highlights, but I didn't really get to use these, and I really wanted to use them more in a piece, but I just didn't feel the need to add them very much to this. I kind of added it to the beak, and I kind of regret doing that because, I don't know, I just don't like the beak now. I liked it better when it was white and there was a bit more sort of contrast between that part and the rest of it, but I just got carried away with this, and this is the supply that I really liked using, and this brush worked incredibly well. I'm really impressed by this. So yeah, that's my finished peacock, and I used my own reference for this as well. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Leave it a like if you did, and if you're new here and you want to see new kind of arty content, mostly coloured pencil related, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and tick that bell icon as well, because I release new arty videos every single Friday for you guys. But that's pretty much it for this video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye!